home and away to see who gets that other place at Wembley. All in front of both the teams. With me tonight, my guest is a man who knows the disappointments and the joys of managing teams to success at Wembley. Former Southampton manager Laurie McMenemy. Plenty more from Laurie during the course of the evening, of course. But first, let's concentrate on Swindon Town.
I suppose frightening in many ways. They play a different style, different formation, difficult formation to grab hold of. But at the same time, I think we beat them 3 times last year, or certainly twice. We're not frightened of them.
But Palace can point to their own attacking skills. 4-1 the score over Luton in round 2. Then a game against their tenants, Charlton Athletic. Palace more at home on their shared ground. Charlton struggling, Andy Gray profiting. Into the second half, and it's all over. A through ball sends Ian Wright away, all on his own, to start the talk of Wembley. Something they can learn all about from their boss.
On the day we got beat against Southampton, and it was only sort of 3 months later that it actually dawned on me that I'd lost the cup final, because I was so pleased to be part of things, to be in the final. The fact that we lost was almost a side issue. The fact that I had taken part in the FA Cup final was, you know, such a big thing for me. It made me so proud for my family and all the people who'd helped me in my career. And I'm sure the same will apply to anybody who's ever played at Wembley in any kind of final. In a way, it's a way you can say thank you to all the people who've helped you along the way.
Steve Coppell's heartbreak. Hi there once again. The teams are dreaming of Wembley, semi-final night tonight, but also, again, for us in this competition, awful conditions. Matt Lorenzo's at pitch side, and he'll tell us just how bad they are. Matthew.
Well, Paul, it's been raining, as you know, since lunchtime here, fairly steadily. Not as heavy as it has been at the moment, but it did cause the referee to make 3 pitch inspections. John Deacon has been out there 3 times today. The last time, about an hour and a quarter before the match kicks off. He says the match is definitely going ahead. The pitch does look very heavy indeed. Selhurst Park a victim to wear and tear because it does host twice as many matches as the normal First Division ground on account of the fact that it hosts 2 First Division clubs. The pitch very heavy. It's going to be a game requiring a lot of stamina, a lot of effort, but as we both know, a lot of fun out there and a lot of goals, we hope. Back to you, Paul.
To the button. Why don't we go up to our match commentator, Peter Brackley, and with him once again tonight, our old friend Ron Atkinson, Sheffield Wednesday manager. Peter?
Thank you, Paul. It certainly is a very blustery night here at Selhurst Park, but we're hoping for some fireworks out there on the pitch as the rain sweeps across the ground, and we can now go through the 2 teams for you. The Crystal Palace side, a few minor injuries have been overcome, and goal for them, the England B international Nigel Martin, one of the best in the business at the moment, and Britain's first £1 million goalkeeper, signed, of course, this season from Bristol Rovers. Here's the back 4, Richard Shaw, Andy Thorne, the former Newcastle and Wimbledon defender, Welsh international Jeff Hopkins and John Pemberton. 4 across the midfield, Andy Gray, John Cardew, Jeff Thomas and Phil Barber. And sharing the load up front, Mark Bright, one of the most improved strikers in the First Division, and John Solako, who scored 3 goals now in the last 3 games. He's replaced the injured Ian Wright. It's very much a settled Swindon side, 17 matches unchanged now. Goalkeeper Fraser Digby, highly rated by a lot of the top clubs. The back 4, David Kerslake, who's settled in very quickly from his recent move from Queen's Park Rangers. In the middle, the captain, Colin Calderwood and John Gittins, and at left-back, Paul Bowden. In midfield, it's Ross McLaren, Tommy Jones, the former Derby man, of course, Ross McLaren, and also Steve Foley. And up front, Duncan Shearer, Alan McLaughlin, and Steve White. McLaughlin, we expect to operate just behind the other 2. 51 goals between these 3 this season. Shearer on 19, White on 17, and McLaughlin on 15. There's Duncan Shearer, 19 his tally then so far this season. Got 16 in the last campaign too, so clearly he's going to be a major threat up front for Swindon. And Steve White, of course, he's been around a while, into his 30s now, Steve White, but a proven goal scorer down the years. And Alan McLaughlin, who's very much in the thoughts of Jack Charlton, the Republic of Ireland manager at the moment. Jack has been to watch him, so every chance that Alan could force his way into the senior squad. And tonight's referee is Mr. John Deacon, as you were hearing, had 3 looks at the pitch before finally deciding that the game can go ahead, and we're delighted that it is. Comes from South Glamorgan, it's a long way down from there. and he, for one, certainly wanted this game to go on. So we're ready then for the kick-off here. Swindon in the white shirts and dark shorts to kick off, attacking the goal to our right. And something must give tonight. It's the top scorers in the entire Football League against the team with the worst defensive record in the First Division in Sheffield Wednesday. In Crystal Palace, I'm thinking about Sheffield Wednesday with Ron Atkinson alongside me here, and I'm about to introduce. Ron, your thoughts on how this one might go?
Be very, very interesting to see. I mean, Swindon play a very sophisticated way of playing. On the other hand, Crystal Palace, very direct. As you say, a bit leaky at the back, but very direct. Salako will be interesting. First-class replacement for Ian Wright.
A real setback, of course, for Palace to lose Ian Wright. He's on his way back, I'm told, on the road to recovery, and he could be back in action fairly soon. But for the moment, John Salako wearing number 10 and playing up front for Crystal Palace. Ossie Ardiles, man who's enjoyed so much success as a player, and now he's experienced the exit as a manager too. Away by Bowden. Plenty of time here for Jeff Hopkins at the back for Crystal Palace, one of their two central defenders. The pitch very, very wet. It's certainly going to cut up rough as the game wears on. I wonder how these two teams are going to cope with the conditions. Thomas for Crystal Palace. Here's Pemberton. Jones quickly snapping back at it, though. Tireless worker, Tommy Jones, down the right flank for Swindon Town. This is Kerslake taking the throw. McLaughlin. Off Barber. I saw Crystal Palace beat Southampton here on Saturday by 3-1, and it was a fairly comprehensive win from them in the end, and it ended a run of 4 league defeats, so their confidence will be much improved for this one. Away by Andy Thorne. Through from McLaren, and it's Thorne to tidy up at the back for Crystal Palace. John Salako scored a spectacular goal on Saturday. Glorious strike. Here's Mark Bright. Cleared away by Foley. It's Pemberton then with the throw. Defenders have come up from the back, so there's plenty of height in there for Crystal Palace. But no way forward for them this time. Ron, how do you think these conditions are going to play out there?
Well, obviously, I think the ground staff have done an excellent job, really, because driving here, you wouldn't give the game a prayer of going on, and it doesn't look over bad. Don't get ourselves, it's going to be very, very heavy. I think the wind's going to be more troublesome than anything else.
Foley. Turning it back to Fraser Digby, Swindon goalkeeper. Certainly a lot of the top clubs have had a close eye on his progress. Chase on for Steve White, but safely through to Nigel Martin. The weather has certainly kept the crowd down tonight. One or two people might have expected the game to have been called off. I think you nearly turned around and went home, Ron, at one point, didn't you? Long trip down for you. Jeff Hopkins, kick for Bright. Now Salako. Quickly closed out though by McLaren. Although in midfield now knows all about defending. From his time with Derby County, McLaren, who often operated as a sweeper with Derby. No flag then for offside. See White. Shearer's in there lurking too. Very dangerous, these front players for Swindon Town. Shearer, who had a spell with Chelsea.
Yes, you just talked about McLaren. He'll operate just in front of his own 2 central defenders, and in many ways won't come over the halfway line. He'll just back up play, but when he does come over, he's got a very fierce shot.
Now here's Mark Bright for Palace. Good cross in! That's Salako arriving. was close. The two combining very effectively there.
Yes, in the early stages, Swindon's central defenders look as if they've got a little bit of a problem dealing with Bright in the air. Basically, that is a standard play. There's a long ball down the middle. Bright gathers it and plays it in. Just whips it in. Salako doing the in-right job.
In fact, it produced a goal on that very same method on Saturday. Bright getting the flick on, and Salako with the finish. A goal that set Crystal Palace on their way to victory. Now here's McLaughlin. Shot from Jones. Well held.
In a nutshell, you've just seen the standard play both sides. A long ball down the middle for Crystal Palace. Neat, patient build-up by Swindon.
Now Barber. No scorers yet. Certainly one or two incidents at either end. And it looks as if we're going to be in for an entertaining night here. This Southern Area semi-final. The winners to go on to play Chelsea in the final, and then of course it's on to Wembley, where Middlesbrough are awaiting the winners. We saw two epic struggles between Middlesbrough and Aston Villa in the Northern final. Marvellous second leg up at Ayresome Park last week. And Middlesbrough battled their way on to overcome the team many think may go on to win the First Division Championship, Aston Villa. Bright. Sandy Gray. Second spell with the club. Went on to Aston Villa and Queen's Park Rangers before returning to Selhurst Park. A bright opening by both sides here. Andy Gray. Swindon standing firm defensively. Steve Coppell, who says his greatest motivation is the fear of relegation. Palace, of course, back in the First Division this season. They have been struggling. Now here's Andy Gray, Salako in the middle, and Bright there too. Again, tight defending by the Second Division side. They do look very well organised. Foley happy to concede the corner there. Andy Thorne has come up from the back, and Jeff Hopkins too. Thorne going to the near post, Hopkins as well. And of course they have Mark Bright in the 6-yard box too. Here's the corner, and a very good one. Knocked away by Bowden. Pemberton's pass. Salako. Players up marked in the middle. There's the effort from Pardew, just wide. Well, the marking looked a little clumsy at the back. One or two of the Swindon players looking unhappy. And talking to the referee there. Here's the cross in. Pardew just slicing it wide. Turned back by Bowden. Ron, you had a point there.
Yeah, I was just saying that on about 3 occasions now, Crystal Palace have attacked the wide positions and whipped in good crosses. And at the moment, the central defenders don't really seem as if they're...
Just pause there as Steve Wright is jostled just outside the area.
They don't really seem as if they're happy, Gittins and Calderwood, at the moment, with the swirling wind and the presence of Bright, but now they've got the advantage.
Now, what can they do from this free kick here? They have McLaren, who can really drive a ball in, and also Bowden, who scored in the earlier round. You may have seen the goal earlier on against Norwich. They really trounced the First Division side that night. 5-man wall being formed by Crystal Palace here. The referee wants it slightly further back. Now, will it be Bowden or McLaren? They're probably full men, it won't be either of them. It's McLaren, and eventually into the side netting. Well, they took their time over it. They might just have produced a goal for Ross McLaren, who scored the winner recently in their home win over Leeds. One of their best results of the season. Just touched off there by Jones. Guided round the wall, but into the side netting. Free kick to Palace. Swindon with everybody back behind the ball. Defending this free kick. Taken by Andy Thorne. 10 minutes gone in the first half. No score. The wind is so strong, the ball won't stay still. It's a bit strong up here on the gantry too. Here's the free kick. Just chipped in by Thorne. Little flick on there. Hopkins trying to turn. And Swindon on the break here now. Steve White leading the charge. White shirts pouring forward here in support. McLaughlin was in the middle, and Jones here unmarked. Good chance, good save. Perfect goalkeeping then by Nigel Martin. On his angle's absolutely right. Glass goalkeeper, this fellow. Players, I think, waiting for a free kick there. Nothing given by the referee. White marauding up front. Cool piece of defensive play then by Fraser Digby. But we saw then the attacking prowess of Swindon, and here they come again now. Jones. White was in the middle. Safe pair of hands for Nigel Martin.
I think it's one of those situations where both managers can be well happy with the start.
Here's the chance here for Swindon. Look. Just looking up at the other end, it's all happening here. Shot driven in, and well saved then by Nigel Martin.
That showed Swindon, that last incident we've seen, showed Swindon at the best. Quick breakout of defence, and players racing forward in support.
It's a very different style under Ossie Ardiles. We'll ask you about that in a moment. But here's McLaughlin. Ossie Ardiles, I think, is doing his best to combine the two styles, the English way that he knows now and the Argentinian way of old. We'll just stay with the play here for a moment. But it's certainly a different style now under Ossie.
Very much so. I mean, when Little Lou was there, and they did brilliant under Little Lou, it was a question of hit the ball as far forward as you can and then catch it before it lands. And, you know, they pressurise, they're like commandos. Now they're playing a very, very sophisticated way of playing. They have a set way of playing. Interesting thing is they play without a real wing, you know. I mean, we talk about wingers being a very, very attacking ploy, but they really play without wingers. And they just use McLaughlin as an attacking midfield in the centre, and McLaren just sitting in front there as an anchorman.
Ossie Ardiles, of course, taking over from Lou Macari, who's now at West Ham, and as we know, likes the occasional flutter. Apparently he lost Frank McAvenny in the 2:30 at Newmarket today. Free kick to Crystal Palace.
I think these are situations, Peter, where they really got to get hold of Bright. Bright in the early stages has looked most menacing. Anything upstairs, he's dealt with. It's really a big responsibility on both Gittins and Calderwood.
A whole cluster of players on the edge of the 18-yard box. They haven't got it away. As Ron was saying earlier, just 1 or 2 wobbles at the back from Swindon Town. In from Barber. Bright. Intended pass from Thomas. Swindon again playing themselves out of trouble. Short passing movements that, of course, were the hallmark of Ossie Ardiles' game when he starred for the Argentinians back at the World Cup final of 1978. Who can forget that marvellous performance by little Ossie? Now, Shearer. Good efforts! And the goalkeeper almost lost that one.
That's something you'll see from Duncan Shearer a lot. He only needs half a strike at goal, half a look at goal, and he gets his shots in early. People are often... I've heard a lot of criticism of him sometimes in the game about playing at the highest level. Seeing that there...
Salako chasing here at the other end.
Seeing that there, as soon as he sees goal, he lets fly. And his goals record suggests why.
Duncan Shearer had a while at Chelsea, but never really came off there, Ron, did he?
No, he was only playing in the reserves. He went to Huddersfield, and I think he scored something like 38 goals in about 50 games or something, which is a great strike rate, and he's continued that at Swindon.
And it certainly is a very effective combination up front with Steve White, and also with McLaughlin weighing in with his 15 goals. It's Calderwood. A few gasps around the crowd then, but he found his target. I know what I'm doing, he said. Colin Calderwood, captain of Swindon. He got the winner at Barnsley at the weekend. Too long for Salako. Foley, Gittins. There's a Digby, and John Gittins, the central defender there for Swindon. Still no score. We've had a quarter of an hour of the first half. But a very impressive start, certainly by Swindon, Ron.
Yes, I mean, they haven't shown any sign of nerves. They've had the composure to try and play their passing game. And to be fair to Crystal Palace, they're putting everything down the middle and trying to hunt everything.
And it's made for an exciting start to this game. The referee allowing advantage, leaving play on. Andy Gray. Bright. Gray taking over. Now Thomas. Here's Gray. Could score here, and he has. Superbly worked goal then by Crystal Palace, and it's Andy Gray with the finish. What an excellent build-up then. They threaded their way through. And Andy Gray has given Crystal Palace the lead just over a quarter of an hour to the first half. Not a bad goal, that one, Ron.
A super goal. Once again, Bright at the hub of it to start the movement. An excellent ball played through by Jeff Thomas, and a very, very good finish by an attacking midfield player going past the ball, or going past the strikers.
He's a player who loves to go forward, Andy Gray. That's his 5th goal of the season. He had an injury on Saturday, but he's managed to shake it off and taken his place in the starting lineup, and Steve Coppell will be very relieved that he did. But Swindon looking to bounce straight back again. McLaren. Now for Kerslake. It is such an attack-minded side, Swindon, that you, I'm going to say it at the moment, you certainly wouldn't bet against them. That's not the right phrase at the moment. Safely through for a goal kick to Swindon Town. Steve Coppell, I'm sure he's feeling very satisfied at the moment. Look at the goal again here. Thomas involved. Gray tucking it in delightfully into the corner. So it's a test of character now for Swindon Town. They've had such a good run lately. Right up there among the leading sides in Division 2. Hoping to break the monopoly of the 2 Yorkshire clubs, Sheffield United and Leeds United. For the moment, they've got Crystal Palace to deal with, and Palace in fine fettle here.
I think one of the difficulties the Swindon defence have got, I mean, they're facing 2 very pacey, strong forwards in Bright and Salako, is the very fact that both their fullbacks, both the Swindon fullbacks, go and play wide and mark the Palace wideman, which means basically it's left for the 2 boys down the middle to deal with no cover, just to deal direct with the 2 strikers.
Pardew. Gray. Support here from Shaw. Wright's in the middle. Now Salako, who does look very quick. He's got an explosive shot too, as he demonstrated there. Great effort then from Salako. And Fraser Digby had no alternative then but to turn it over the bar. Such was the venom on the shot. Salako turning inside Foley. How about that for a drive? Here's the corner. Barber to take it. Hopkins making a late run into the penalty area and arriving there. And the goalkeeper clawing it out of the air.
Peter, we've seen enough incidents, haven't we, in the, 20 minutes or so that the game's gone, to make a mockery of the conditions, really. I mean, at both ends, there's been some very, very exciting moments. Some good quality play.
Yes, I think I'm enjoying this Zenith Cup. It's good. It's producing some smashing matches. Kerslake. Hope you're enjoying it at home too. This match live on Sky. You're watching it as it happens. And Crystal Palace are leading Swindon by 1-0 in this southern area semi-final. The game to be decided tonight. I think Gittins was going to settle it then. Away by Kerslake. If it goes to extra time, they still can't settle it, then it'll be decided on penalties. And then comes that two-legged area final against Chelsea. McLaughlin finding Shearer. Swindon stringing their passes together well here. Jones drilling over the cross, Shearer climbing, hooked away by Andy Gray. Only as far as Kersley. McLaren again playing the early ball. There's a Palace defender down in the area. Shaw, I think. And the referee indeed stopping play now. And it is Richard Shaw down injured.
Yes, I think one of the things that's making it such a good game at the moment is that both sets of attacking players are on top. Neither defence looks completely in control of the game, and that to me is making it a very, very exciting game.
Richard Shaw just receiving some attention there. He looks a little winded at the moment. Swindon Town, 53 league goals then. Blackburn and Leeds on 52, Rotherham 51, and Liverpool down there in 5th place on 50 goals. So Swindon very much the team to watch. Crystal Palace, they've conceded 50. Only 2 teams in the entire Football League have conceded more. Barnsley and Hartlepool, and of course Crystal Palace led in 9 against Liverpool. And Ron, you've got Crystal Palace to play, I think, in a couple of weeks' time.
That's right, we're down here the week after next.
And you played Aston Villa last weekend, having seen them twice. Thought you plotted their downfall. Didn't quite work out for you, though, last Saturday. Good performance, though, I'm told, from Sheffield Wednesday. 25 minutes gone, and it's still Palace leading by a goal to nil. But Swindon very much in contention. 25 minutes to go, in fact. Jones. Now McLaren. It's a glorious pass. Kerslake, just too long, I think. Sliding over the greasy surface. Good vision shown then.
I think he was a victim of the conditions there, because that looked a super-looking ball when it started off.
Plenty of support here tonight for both sides, although the crowd not quite as high as the club would have hoped. Atrocious conditions in the London area. Gittins not very effectively away. Calderwood with Kerslake. Oh! It could have been an own goal. What's he thinking of there?
Well, that could have been expensive, couldn't it? But that shows what can happen under greasy situations like this.
Certainly a misunderstanding then, and Kerslake disastrously almost steering the ball back into his own goal. It's a corner to Crystal Palace. Phil Barber to take it. Hopkins on the near post. Andy Gray, the goal scorer. Skipping past the tackle. That took a deflection! And over the bar. I don't think the referee knows quite which it is. They're appealing for a corner. It certainly was deflected. The referee deciding that it came off a Palace player. Let's look at it again. It did. He's absolutely right. My apologies, sir, for doubting you. Here's Gittins. John Deacon, the referee tonight. Very heavy conditions out there, so referees need to be fit too. McLaren now. Could be a shooting chance here. Off the target this time. Good servant to Derby. A couple of seasons back, Ross McLaren. He was in the championship side from Division 2. Now doing a fine job as well for Swindon Town. And their young supporters here. Nice piece of headgear. Andy Gray missing out. Tommy Jones. Very hard-working player in midfield, Jones. Former Aberdeen player. Pass from Bowden, finding Kerslake. Now McLaren. Again, it's the short passing game, and it threatens to open Palace up. Hillsborough offside, and the flag was up on the far side there. Laurie McMenemy down there in the warmth of the studio. What do you make of it so far, Laurie?
Well, I'm sympathising with you up there on the wind. In the windy,
sure you are.
Yes. But Ron will shield you most of the time, I'm sure. I agree with Ron tactically that Swindon are a very attractive team when they've got the ball. When they haven't got it, they're being stretched. The movement of the Crystal Palace players is pulling the central defenders around, and Gray, as we saw, took full advantage and scored a good goal. And of course, they're having shots galore because of the strong wind.
Palace with this one goal then so far. Hugh Laurie, we'll hear from you again a little later on. Alan McLaughlin, now then for Jones. Plenty up in support. They're always looking for the intelligent through ball, Ron, aren't they?
That's right. I mean, in that attack, for argument's sake, both fullbacks were right up on the edge of the penalty area, looking to attack. The only problem you've got here, of course, is when...
Well, here's a problem that could be developing for Palace. Shearer, now then for Jones. Saved again by Martin. Again with his feet. And again it was from Jones. Calderwood.
So the only problem you've got there, of course, Peter, is the fact that when Crystal Palace do counter-attack, they're playing 2v2 virtually.
Salako chasing this one with Calderwood. Good cross. Pardew will be disappointed he didn't score there. What a lovely cross, whipped over then by Salako. Pardew arriving on the end of it. And I think, Ron, if that had been marked right, that would have been in.
I think that's right. I think the quality of crossing, I mean, Salako's hit a super ball in here. As you say, all credit to the midfield player arriving in the box and supporting, but he really, really should have scored there.
John Pardew, the opportunity to have made it 2-0. It stays at 1. And Swindon stay in the game. They certainly haven't been outplayed in any way. But they are vulnerable when Palace strike in the fashion that they have been. It's Calderwood heading it back.
I think at the moment, if I was Ossie Ardiles, I'd think I'd ask my two fullbacks to come and play a little bit closer to the central defenders and contain for a little bit.
Just tighten up a bit.
That's right, because, I mean, if 2-0 would be a disaster for them, you know, the next goal is going to be all important.
Well, Swindon have beaten 2 First Division sides to reach this stage. I wonder if they've met their match here at Crystal Palace tonight.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, at the moment, they're having a bit of a torrid time at the back. But they've done enough to suggest when they come forward that they've got enough firepower. They can certainly score themselves. I mean, what I would be very worried about is giving another goal away.
Bright. The cross into the arms of goalkeeper Fraser Digby, and in fact behind anyway for a goal kick. They've had a few battles in the past, of course, these two teams, and it was Palace who eventually came on top in the one that really mattered down there at the bottom there, the second leg of the playoff that took Crystal Palace into the First Division. At least they went on to go on to the first, and Swindon missed out on that occasion. I wonder if they're going to do it this time, lying just behind those top 2 clubs. For those of you who saw last week's game, wondering where the bugler is tonight from Middlesbrough, unfortunately he couldn't make the journey down from Ayresome Park. We hope to see him again at Wembley. I'm sure we will. In fact, I promised to put him up for the night, Ron.
Somebody said your house is big enough to put the whole regiment up.
Shearer didn't get in though before Pemberton. Just to underline, it is a gusting wind out there, very strong. Now Shaw from Salako. What a good cross that was! Well, the quality of service from the crosses from Salako has been quite exceptional. Flags up offside, it won't count. I don't think the crowd had seen the flag, but we had up here on the gantry. Certainly the referee had.
You've said it in a nutshell. I can't remember a game where I've seen so many good crosses put in such a short period of time. And there you saw the value of a big centre forward, Bright. He saw only the ball when he went in with Fraser Digby there.
Well, Salako was telling Steve Coppell, give me my chance and I'll produce the goods. And he certainly has with his performances since coming into the side in the last few games. Jones now. Second chance to cross it in. Half an hour gone in the first half. McLaughlin. Still one goal dividing the two teams. Jones with support from Kerslake. The ball hanging up in the wind then, with Shearer and company waiting, in vain. Good ball from Bright. Oh, Salako was unlucky. Again, they've tried to find Jones and succeeded in doing so. He's done well here, and just took it too far as Barber got back.
I've seen this fellow play a few times, Peter. He's got a lovely little trick in the penalty box. Nearly got away with it there. Got the thing we call a lollipop.
A lollipop?
Where he puts one foot over the ball.
Who thought that one up? We'll ask you that in a moment. Kerslake. Kerslake again. It was an important challenge then. Andy Thorne whacking it upfield, looking for Bright, who was caught by Dittens. Tell us about the lollipop then, Ron.
Oh, it's just a little trick where one foot goes over the ball and you take it away with the other foot. We'll show it you later on.
Does this stem from your five-a-side matches? I know you still play, but you have actually hurt your back at the moment, haven't you? Ron is still a very active footballer in five-a-side games at the clubs. The various clubs that he's played for down the years. And managed, of course. Pardew. Andy Thorne, plenty of time. At least he thought he had. A rather aimless ball upfield then in search of Thomas and Salako. Andy Thorne bought, though, to add some steel to the Palace defence. Steve Coppell knows he's still got problems at the back. And Palace by no means out of trouble yet, down at the wrong end of the First Division. Certainly in this display and the one against Southampton, they will have taken some encouragement. A very open contest. If you're just tuning in, this match brought to you live by Sky. It's the Southern Area semi-final to be settled. Just the one game. Settled tonight, and one goal between the two teams scored by Andy Gray. With just over 15 minutes gone. That's the way it stands now. But here's Bowden for Swindon. McLaughlin now for McLaren. Again, Swindon spraying their passes around confidently. Here's Jones. Is he about to produce the lollipop again? Not this time. Kerslake. Right at Shearer in the middle. McLaughlin. Flag was up for offside. But no question of them just hoisting the ball over. They're looking to play football.
I also think in the second half you'll see the fellow McLaughlin. He's just inclined just to sit behind the front two at the moment. But I think with the wind on his back second half, Peter, I think you're going to see him sprinting past the strikers. Similar in effect to the way Gray did for the goal.
I don't know, that chap could see over the top then, could he? Well, if he could, he'd see Palace on the rampage again. We do apologise if there is some wind breaking through on our microphones. It is a very blustery evening, as we're saying. Hopefully it's not detracting from your enjoyment. Bright again, there's the flick on. So often they use this ploy.
Yes, I think the Swindon central defenders are too easily pushed back at the moment. Whether it's the conditions, they're facing the very strong wind, but they're allowing themselves to be pushed back, and that means that Crystal Palace can invariably build up play on them.
On from Jones, away by Hopkins. They try to find the front two very quickly, Bright and Salako. 10 minutes to the first half left. Can Swindon come back here? Certainly enjoyed a fair measure of the first half. So far, without managing to find a way past Nigel Martin. Here's the free kick. It's Bowden to take it. Calderwood.
I think there was some suggestion of a push there from Bright, wasn't it? Calderwood.
Certainly a hint of it, but nothing seen by the referee. And here's Salako, a little unlucky then. Kersley coming through 3 tackles. Just as well for Swindon that he did. McLaren taking the throw. Swindon again coming strongly at Palace. Here's McLaughlin. Steve White. It's Bodin. Working his way to the touchline. Shearer. And the header only just going wide. Again showing his strength in the air.
Yes, I think if the thing is stuck in there enough, I think you'll find that Shearer won't be far short of the ball. That's his strength. He sees goal and he sees only the ball when he goes in for challenges.
He's only got 1 in the last 6 now, Shearer, so by his high standards this season, he hasn't done so well in recent matches, but I reckon he's due a goal. Andy Gray. Deciding there was no way forward. Bowden finding Jones, who's had a very impressive first half. McLaughlin sliding into the path of Kersley. And Barber getting back at him. Jones. Okay, looking for White and Shearer. Flag was up for offside, though. And they've been caught out on 1 or 2 occasions in the first half.
Yeah, they do that well, Crystal Palace. When they get back towards their own penalty area, they're inclined just to hold the penalty line and try and invite the Swindon forwards just to run into offside positions.
Over the head of Gittins, and all the way through to the other penalty area, which gives you an idea of how strong that wind is. But you just kick from Martin from the Palace penalty area. McLaughlin looking for Jones. Can try again here. This time they have stayed onside. Shearer was in there. All a chance. Just turned wide then by Steve White.
I think every time the ball comes out wide to this fella Jones, there's always a threat, always a hint. A nice curling cheesy ball in there.
Shearer's presence enough to put off the defender, and Steve White only just a few inches past the post. So Swindon just underlining there. They are very much in contention in this game.
I think Gray's already signalled the intent twice with long back passes back to Martin. Now comes the big launch.
Just over 5 minutes of the first half to go. Pemberton now. Palace have had to defend for a little period. Now they force the corner. And that's the signal for Hopkins and Thorne to make their way forward from the back. Here's Thorne, England under-21 international. Hopkins in there too. Didn't reach either of them. Here's Thomas. The wrestling match, which he came through unscathed. Oh, and then Salako in with a chance. And Bright arriving at the far post. And that all came from a rather strange piece of play by Kersley.
That's right, he was finding the ball stuck under his foot. He couldn't really get the thing clear.
There's Salako across the area.
Sweet left foot, and only just inches short of making it 2-0. And I would think that's something Swindon must avoid at all costs. They've got to get in at half-time, only 1 goal of difference. Because if they did, you could always see them pulling one back with their creative play, you know.
carved out several openings in the first half of Swindon, but so too Palace and Salako, very much in form up front for them, in tandem with Mark Bright. Certainly compensating for the loss of Ian Wright. Bright and Wright look so together. I'm sure Steve Coppell must have been very concerned when Wright was out injured. Again, a long, tempting cross. Nigel Martin is a very competent goalkeeper. For Salako to race onto, but he won't get there. And this is Bowden now for Swindon. Bowden again. Starting from the same place. Hopkins, though, to tidy up for Crystal Palace. Still just the one goal between the two teams. Scored early on, just after 15 minutes, by Andy Gray. We could certainly have had more goals in this first half. Jones. Easily broken up.
To be fair, Peter, after that very early burst of pressure from Crystal Palace, they've had a fair measure of control, haven't they, Swindon?
Haven't turned it into a goal yet. There's still time in this first half. McLaughlin, what a good player he looks. You can see why Jack Charlton's got his eye on him. Now, Pemberton for Crystal Palace. Salako. Pemberton has continued his run. Calderwood with a timely tackle. Well then, the central defender.
Yeah, because the boy Pemberton's exceptionally quick.
He must have thought he was in there. There's a player down injured. It is Calderwood, I think. After his intervention. Good solid performer, Colin Calderwood. Well, they're enjoying it anyway. Maybe a cold night. They're all Crystal Palace supporters by the look of it, so they're well pleased with the way their team are doing here.
I would think anyone at the ground must be enjoying it at the moment, apart from this fella on the floor, of course. But I mean, it's been such a good game, as it's such a good open game with so much incident in it.
Not sure why he was smiling then. But he seems to be all right. The referee just making sure. And Colin Calderwood, a brave, resilient defender, and he'll be prepared to battle on, of course, in Swindon's cause. Andy Gray will take the corner. There's Jeff Hopkins right on that near post. And he's posed a threat there on previous set pieces. Thomas. Paso was too long from Pemberton. Just 2 minutes of the first half to go. And I wonder now if Crystal Palace are going to go in with this slender one-goal lead. No idea what that says. I think it's the wrong way up. Oh, I love Sky, it says. Sign him up. Still time for another long kick upfield using the wind. Not quite so far this time, though, from Martin. But there you saw the bounce on the ball, too, taken by the wind. Andy Gray. Gray again. But I would think going in at half-time, Ron, Swindon won't be too dissatisfied, will they?
No, particularly after the start. It could have been so much worse for them. But they've settled down to play this sort of football.
McLaughlin. Jones outside him. Shearer in the middle. And Steve White was there too. Palace holding on. And away they come. Shaw's pass. Picked up though by McLaren. Here he is again. They don't waste too many passes, Swindon. Here's Jones. Good running by Kerslake. Everson to the rescue.
Yes, as I said earlier, you get the feeling that every time this fella out here on the right wing, Jones gets the ball, that there's danger afoot. I talked about the quality of Salako's crosses, but certainly on a number of times, this Tommy Jones has knocked in some great balls. He's
Got an opportunity here with the corner. Calderwood has come up from the back. him, though. Gittins had come up too, the other central defender. Here's McLaren. The big fellas have stayed in there. Jones with the cross. Pardew deciding he was content just to concede the corner. So a really strong finish to the first half from Swindon. Jones. We're into injury time now. Took a deflection. Gathered safely by Nigel Martin. He really has been outstanding, this fellow, Tommy Jones, down the right flank for Swindon. And Ossie Ardiles, great competitor that he is, will feel his team are right in there fighting with 45 minutes still to go. There he is, looking fairly pensive down there in the dugout. He loves his football, Ossie Ardiles, and I know how much he's relishing his job at Swindon. Now Jones. In for White. Foley challenging with Pardew. Pardew now. Mark Bright. Here's the early ball in search of Salako. A few hearts skipped a beat then. They've lived a little dangerously at times, Ron, at the back, Swindon.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's a policy that's committed that way. I mean, it's a deliberate defensive situation, and they've gone up very happy.
So, there it is then at half-time. It's Crystal Palace leading, but it's very tight out there. 1-0, the goal from Andy Gray. Join us again after the break.
Salaka doing a good job in his absence tonight. Matthew.
Thanks, Paul. Ian Wright, if you were on the field, do you think it might be more than a one-goal advantage?
I like to think so, but, you know, I think the lads are doing well as it is enough now. So, you know, hopefully we can get another goal early in the second half, and like we can go on from there.
How important is it to Palace to get to Wembley via this competition?
Well, the thing is, everybody wants to play at Wembley at some stage. Last year we came close. Nottingham Forest beat us in the end, but, like, you know, if we could go to Wembley, it'd be brilliant for the fans. You know, we've never been there. It'll be nice, only in the mercantile credit, but you know what I mean? Going to Wembley's a lot of players' dreams to go to Wembley.
What's the news on the injury? You've been out for 3 weeks, what I believe is a cracked fibula. How long are you going to be out for now?
I think, to be safe, I could say another 3 weeks and then I'll be playing. I'll be at this standard fitness.
What about a prediction for the score here, Ian?
I think we'll beat them a couple more goals. There's a couple more, because we've got a lot of things flying across the box. I fancy Mark to get a couple, and I fancy John Salaka could get something.
And then we'll see Ian Wright at Wembley?
Well, hopefully, yeah, if I can get John out.
OK, thanks very much, Ian. Back to you, Paul.
Matthew, thanks very much indeed. Laurie...
Under the win, I still think there's a chance of goals for either side, but I think the home advantage will just pull them through.
All right, Laurie, thanks very much indeed for now. Let's go back up to our match commentator, Peter Brackley, and once again, Ron Atkinson. Peter first.
Well, we'll see if Laurie is right in the second half. It'll be Crystal Palace to kick off. And certainly if Swindon's recent form is any kind, they're going to give it a real crack in the second half. They've scored in each of their last 12 matches now, Swindon. How will they fare here against Crystal Palace, who set the second half then underway? Mark Bright straight into the action. Good to hear there, Ian Wright is on his way back. He's one of the most promising young players in English football, and not too far away, I would think, from the senior England squad either. He's played at the England B international level. Good work here by Steve Foley. Andy Gray was wincing there after that collision. Looks as if he's got a little knock. And he was injured on Saturday, remember. Steve Coppell. I think his team can hold on to this lead. Calderwood to McLaren. Pardew had a great chance in the first half for Crystal Palace, and he hit it over the top. Might just prove costly, that miss. But Ron, what part is that win going to play in the second half, do you think?
I certainly think Crystal Palace will find it harder to get the ball up those long punts up the field up to the two front players. Although Fraser Digby, in all fairness, was kicking at a fair old distance for Swindon, and Nigel Martin can leather it, but I think they'll find it harder to drop the ball over the back of the Swindon defence from a distance.
It's a throw to Crystal Palace. Salako rather casually though. Cloughlin. It's a good tackle then by Andy Thorne. Kerslake in well though. Cloughlin again. And his drive well wide of the far post. Ossie Ardiles, I wonder what he had to say to his players at half-time. He knows all about playing at Wembley, of course, from his days with Tottenham, as he used to call them. His first season in charge at Swindon Town. The ball right into the teeth of the wind, didn't go too far. And here's Gray breaking with Calderwood. Composed defending by the Swindon man. Let's see what sort of length Fraser Digby gets on his kick. These two can kick the ball to each other for the rest of the half.
Yes, I think you saw then a little tactic Crystal Palace were employing, their back line. As Fraser Digby punched the ball down the field, they stepped up. Instead of retreating back, something like the Swindon defence did, they stepped up and tried to catch them offside.
Hopkins. This is Bowden for Swindon. Now McLaren, a long way out. Oh, what a shot then by McLaren. Really using the wind to full advantage then. And that was superb goalkeeping by Nigel Martin, who really had to be at his most alert. McLaren has got a good eye for goal. And just tipped over the bar at the last then by Nigel Martin. It's a corner to Swindon. Duncan Shearer in there hoping. Jones taking the kick. Palace have got it away. Thomas helping it on, but rather needlessly out of play over on the far side now.
As you said, what a great shot from McLaren. Good save as well, incidentally, but I think you'll find that's a tactic downwind. I think he'll be lurking around the edge of the box. He'll be picking up what we call the drops in the game, and he'll try his luck at any given chance.
Shearer touched off. Gray is able to bring it away on the break then for Palace. And you had the feeling it might be something of a barrage that Palace might have to deal with in the second half. Pemberton taking the throw for Crystal Palace, leading by a goal to nil. These pictures coming to you live from Sky here at Selhurst Park. The Southern Area final, a semi-final of the Zenith Cup. The winners to go on to play Chelsea in the area final. And then the winners of that will meet Middlesbrough in the final at Wembley. Crystal Palace in the driving seat. Got a long way to go yet. And what an excellent account of themselves Swindon Town have given. Free kick then to Crystal Palace, to be taken by Andy Thorne. 5 minutes into the second half. Looking for Bright up front. Skippers away. Now Barber. And I think for the throw of David Kerslake. Came from Queen's Park Rangers back in November, and he's been a revelation in the Swindon side. Very attack-minded defender. In fact, it's a corner which Andy Gray is going to take. Bright is right at the back post beyond any markers. It had to be a long kick to reach him. Hopkins was there. Hopkins again just lost control at the vital moment. Pemberton pumping it straight back again. Pardew. We've got 4 in the middle. Thomas. Way by McLaren. And the linesman waving furiously over on the far side. It's a throw to Swindon Town. Palace have never contested a Wembley final, but Swindon, of course, were there back in 1969, the days of Don Rogers and company, when they won the League Cup. Nigel Martin here, Britain's costliest goalkeeper, and he's keeping Swindon out at the moment. Some fine saves. Kerslake. Salako, good control. Barber. Crystal Palace's longest serving player now. Phil Barber, very hard-working player. Quite a favourite with the fans too. You never get anything less than 100%. And the fans like it. Why not? She's seen a few games here, I bet. Headed down by Bright. Chase on here for Andy Gray. And off Bowden. The decision in favour of Crystal Palace. Andy Gray. Very cheerful character, Andy. He's quite allowed, this fellow. And at the moment, his goal just proved decisive. It's going to be a throw, and Gray will look to the short one. Off Bowden, this time it's a corner. Barber trotting across to take it. Up comes Thorne from the back. Hopkins in there too. Goalkeeper didn't hold that one too cleanly, but he was impeded. He was certainly pushed. Free kick to Swindon. There's been some action at the other end. Nigel Martin with that tremendous save a few minutes back. McLaren really let him fly, and he just nicked it over the bar. Thorne had come for it. Andy Gray.
At the moment, Peter, Crystal Palace are playing a sort of scrambling game. It looks as if they've intended to not let Swindon settle into their very neat passing start with good movement.
Shaw. Right. Now, Salako. Player streaming forward for Crystal Palace here. Pardew. Rather hasty, though. Too long for Mark Bright. They have a lot of players up there, Crystal Palace, as they broke very quickly forward. Rather wasted by Pardew.
It was, but I think once again you saw, as we saw in the first half, it all revolves around Bright. The first ball goes into him. He's strong enough to hold off the Swindon defenders, and then he brings other players into play. Then Salako, sometimes his midfield players. And they've never really, the Swindon boys have never really been able to deal totally with Bright.
Very dangerous customer. Down goes Andy Gray. That'll be a free kick, surely. He does enjoy his football, though, Andy Gray. Relishes a battle, and he's certainly getting one tonight with Swindon Town. Hopkins with the free kick then for Crystal Palace, leading by a goal to nil. They certainly can't rest on their laurels here. But Andy Gray about to make progress. They've got the free kick. Up goes Hopkins and Thorne.
I wonder what the referee may just have given, if it had been a yard further back.
Could have been interesting. Steve Coppell wondering what his team are going to do here. Swindon with some defending to do. The wall to be organised. Now, there's Thomas, Gray and Pardew. And here's Thomas. Got through that gap. Fraser Digby had it covered. Good goalkeeper, this fellow, Ron. You knew him at Old Trafford, of course.
That's right. I had him there as a boy, along with Gary Walsh, and you know, we did have very high hopes for him.
Well, he certainly doesn't let Swindon Town down in any way in their marvellous season that they're having. Hopkins. Salako. Rather mistiming his jump. going to put the defender off, though. It's a ploy used by some strikers to good effect on occasions. Slotted through by Pardew. But everybody was retreating to avoid the offside. Calderwood. Up for White. Beaten in the air by Hopkins, but he hasn't got it away. Pemberton has now. Then he follows McLaren. Offside.
Yeah, I think Swindon have just got to make sure now they don't get caught up in the game at a frantic pace. Their game is based on possession, clever movement, good interpassing, and they've got to try somehow or other and establish that way of playing, the way they did in the first half. I mean, they played very bravely in that respect, and now they've got to make sure that because there's a strong wind behind them, they just don't try and overhit everything.
A lot of creative, intelligent play by Swindon in the first half. Haven't quite got into their stride yet in the second. There's Palace pressing hard here. Bright knocked it down well. And Solanko couldn't finish it off. But again, it was Bright's power in the air and his timing that set up more than a half chance really for Solanko. Might have a chance to look at that again in a moment. But it's Swindon going forward now. Solanko thought he got his 4th goal in consecutive games then. Good turn by McLaughlin. And Steve White was blocked by Andy Thorne. So a corner to Swindon. Steve White, 17 goals from him this season. Calderwood up from the back. It's Jones taking the corner. Not completely away. McLaren. And has that gone out for a corner? Yes.
You see him there again, though, Peter, don't we? Always lurking on the edge of the penalty area, always looking for anything coming out loose. As you say, he scored a great winner. Was it against Leeds 2 or 3 weeks ago?
A real blaster that was. And of course, it was McLaren a little while back who very nearly equalised with a shot that Martin pushed over the top. Here's the corner taken by Jones. Difficult ball for the goalkeeper. But he really is one of the best around, isn't he, Ron? Nigel Martin.
Yes, I think it's fair to say we've got 2 of the best young keepers in the country playing tonight.
It could be extended here. Jones away down the right. Good tackle. There's an important one too from Pemberton, but Jones getting a second chance at it. Kerslake now. 5 in the middle. Hopkins away. Barber. Bowden with a free header. Foley in well. Another diligent player for Swindon. And this time his pass goes astray. So a little respite for Crystal Palace. What is he eating there then? Popcorn, I think. Won't keep him warm, but he's happy enough. Perhaps Laurie would like his hat. We'll ask Laurie at the end. Barber. Cross was always going behind. Actually, Ron, Laurie should have come up on the gantry. He's about 6'4", Laurie, and you have to duck to get along the walkway here, and Laurie would never have made it.
I'll tell you what, you had it all on getting up here. Mind Laurie.
Never mind, Laurie, we will find you a hat, I promise. Bowden for Swindon. Andy Gray. Off goes Bright. Calderwood, always the favourite. He's had a steady game for the most part, Calderwood. Good play then by McLaughlin, battling away in midfield. It's a throw to Palace. Cut out by McLaughlin. Shearer. No real chance there for Steve White. Hopkins there first. Richard Shaw. Laurie McMenemy, you're not up on the gantry. It's a long walk up here, Laurie, but how are you setting in down there. What do you feel about the second half so far?
Well, we're just having a nice hot cup of tea and thinking about you up there, actually.
Good for you.
Yes. I think that it's more cat and mouse now. That, you know, I was expecting McLaughlin to be sort of ruling the midfield a lot more, but when he's getting it, he's too deep. And I think they're aware of his danger, his potential, and the lads up front, Shearer and White in particular, are getting frustrated. But, you know, there's still a chance, but the more it goes, Crystal Palace are getting more of a grip on the game.
Yes, it was a point, Ron, you were making first half. McLaughlin, he's playing well, but not in the positive role that Swindon would like to see.
That's right. Well, his strength is supporting front strikers.
Away by Shaw, dispossessing Bowden. Just stay here with Andy Gray, right down the middle. Not the best of passes from Andy Gray.
And the interesting thing is about Alan McLaughlin has actually dropped into deep positions to pick up the ball and get plenty of good possession. First half, they didn't really put a marker against him, which surprised me. Second half, it looks very much as if Crystal Palace are possibly going to employ Pardew to sort of track him. Because they would obviously, Steve Coppell is obviously expecting him, McLaughlin, to make many attacking breaks.
There's Alan McLaughlin, hoping to force his way into the Republic of Ireland's World Cup squad. His parents are Irish, so he's got a more legitimate claim to be Irish than some of his fellow compatriots, as they are now. I suppose the next thing, Ron, will be people claiming to have relatives in the Faroe Islands, aren't they? Now they're in the European Championships.
I must admit, sort of beauty. Jackie Charlton's looking for anybody that's got a Beldunicum record.
I shall see if I've got a grandfather in the Faroe Islands, so perhaps I'll make the European Championship squad. You never know. Duncan Shearer signed for £40 million from Huddersfield, and as Rob was saying earlier on, he was very successful there, and Swindon could do with a goal from him now. That's the reason for the delay. Jeff Hopkins down injured, former Fulham defender. That's the way to keep warm tonight. Put on the igloo gear. Now that, Laurie McManamy, that's the sort of hat you should have.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm happy with the colour there. Can you pick me out something a bit more tasteful, please? A larger size.
It wouldn't fit you anyway, Laurie.
That's right.
Anyway, as long as you've got your cup of tea and you're happy, we'll just go on freezing up here. We're enjoying the game, though. It's a cracking cup tie. 25 minutes to go, and it still could go either way. But Crystal Palace ahead from the goal in the first half, and 15 minutes from Andy Gray. Bowden taking the throw. Shearer's header. It was Pardew back defending.
I think that's been a feature of the second half, is Crystal Palace's ability to sort of deny space at the moment.
They certainly are a very competitive side, a very aggressive team. Steve Coppell, I know, thinks they need to harness that with a little more subtlety at times. But here they are on the break with 3 up. And only Gittins was right back. Salako. Barber, the momentum though has died a little. Barber down injured now, incidentally. Salako. And it's a goal kick. Should have made more of that, Ron.
They should have done, but all credit then to Gittins. He was opposed 2v1, didn't dive in, was patient and just jockeyed the ball away into a wide and undangerous area. He did very, very well there, Gittins.
Former Southampton man, John Gittins. Very much a feature of Swindon's success this season. And he did retain his composure then. Bowden. Good pass there. Now here's McLaughlin. Support from McLaren. Good save. And a fine effort again. He's not afraid to have a go, Ross McLaren.
Now, in all fairness, we saw Alan McLaughlin up in that advanced position as well. I would sure Ossie Ardiles at this moment in time would love his right winger, Jones, to get plenty more of work.
Certainly haven't seen so much of him in the second half as we saw in the first. Tommy Jones down the Swindon right.
That's right, Peter. And players of his type need to be in the game. Very often when they're not getting plenty of the ball, they do tend to lose concentration. He's the sort of player that I would imagine is saying, give me the ball, let me get at the fullback, let me get at the fullback. But Pemberton at left back is basically a right fullback playing on the other side, and obviously, as we saw in the first half, Jones fancies his chance of having a go against him.
Here's the goal kick. Only just across the halfway line, headed back by McLaren first, then McLaughlin. Not too much finesse about that clearance.
Well, the whole game's gone very scrappy, which is a shame really, because in the first half there's so much quality.
But it's far from over. Steve White. And just to remind you, it has to be settled tonight. If the scores were level at the end of normal time, they don't have extra time, and then penalties if they still couldn't settle it. Crystal Palace's lead still looking very precarious. Here's Jones. Palace, who came through to this stage by beating Luton and Charlton. Swindon overcoming Millwall and Norwich. 4-1, of course, against Norwich. One of their best displays of the season. And they've had a few of those. McLaren overhitting the pass. And he's been thwarted once or twice by the conditions, Ross McLaren. Has good vision, though. This time failing to pick out Jones down the right. Thomas. Just got a foot in there. Swindon again powering forward. Calderwood. Here's Kerslake. McLaren. Kerslake again. This is useful. All flags up for offside, but again that little passing triangle between the Swindon players, which was so effective in the first half.
Yes, that looks the area of the field, if they're going to pull the game out the fire, that looks the area of the field in which they're going to do it. Because not only have they got Jones that's very, very effective up there, of course Kerslake was for a long, long time in his career an orthodox sort of attacking wide player.
20 minutes to go. Can Swindon continue to fight their way back? Not for the moment they can't, because Andy Gray here has got another knock. Picks up a few bumps and bruises, this fellow, from his combative style. Crystal Palace 14th in the First Division. Swindon right up there in 3rd place in Division 2, and hoping to reach the First Division for the first time in their history. What a feather that would be in Ossie Ardiles' cap. Shaw's ball in. Goalkeeper didn't really get hold of it. It was Barber's shot that was charged down. Off goes Steve White at the other end, but Pemberton is always going to get there first. Gray with Salako. Calderwood had gone with him. Shaw trying to find right in the middle. Cross was too short though. Good turn then by Shearer. Now can Swindon pull players forward here? Foley. White couldn't turn. Calderwood first to it here though. Bowden. Ross McLaren. And the flag's up for offside.
That really is scandalous. That's a superb ball by Ross McLaren. Now Jones is looking along the line. There's no reason whatsoever he should have been offside. He can see every defender. He's got every defender in view. He's only got to stand still, and it's a perfect ball for him.
Just to clarify that, you weren't saying scandalous about the decision, but the fact that Jones had wandered off.
Sorry, that's right. I mean, that's the sort of thing that drives managers around the wall.
Calderwood. Here's Jones. He's onside this time. And the corner is earned for Swindon. Can they fire themselves up here? Gittins up from the back, Calderwood, both central defenders, hoping to make their presence felt in the penalty area. It'll be Jones with the corner. Thomas. Here's Kerslake. Lost his footing though. Palace survived without too much difficulty then. The cry of Eagles around Selhurst Park. The nickname, of course, of Crystal Palace. And at the moment, they'll be heading into the next round unless Swindon can turn the game around now. Salako. Graham Bright in the middle, and the cross this time not forthcoming. We were praising him for the quality of his crosses in the first half, but this time he was way off the mark.
Yeah, I think in that very moment there, you see what's typified the second half. The quality of the second half has been nowhere near as good as the first half.
But a place in the Southern Area final still very much at stake. Mark Bright again holding the play up well, bringing Barber into the game, and he's fouled by David Kerslake. Free kick to Crystal Palace. Vaughan is in there, and Hopkins. There they are, the two big men from the back. All crowding around the penalty spot. Goalkeeper just palmed it clear. Came at him rather forcefully.
To be fair, Peter, he hasn't been entirely happy with that ball all night. It's about four or five crosses he's flapped on.
Difficult, though, in these conditions to be fair to him. Now, McLaughlin. Some room over on the right if they can find the players over there, Kerslake and Jones. Here's Foley. Accurate pass from him, finding Kerslake. Foley again. Swindon linking well here. Kerslake. Now can he go all the way? Not this time. Salako. Bowden's tackle. Bowden, who's come into the Swindon side with Phil King, having moved to Sheffield Wednesday. Signed by the gentleman alongside me here, Ron Atkinson. Of course, is manager of Sheffield Wednesday, at least he was when this game started. Mark Bright. I forgot to check again at half-time. Ross McLaren. Jones. Failing to fight Kerslake this time. Well, you signed Phil King, but the fellow you left behind her hasn't done too badly well.
He's done very, very well. Strangely enough, I was just thinking there, around about the same time as I signed King, I also made an effort to try and sign Salako from, well, he was at Swansea on loan. And I made inquiries after Steve Cup to see whether he'd sell him. But he was quite adamant that he was still part and parcel of his plans.
Salako, who's a local lad and wants to stay on at Crystal Palace. I think he's had his differences with Steve Coppell, but he's very keen to stay here. 15 minutes to go, still Crystal Palace leading by the first half goal from Andy Gray. McLaughlin now driving through the mud. The rain has stopped now, but it's still very sticky out there. Bad tackle on Barber. I think that's going to be a booking. No real arguments then from David Kerslake. Although, well, the Swindon players are complaining, but he went right through that one.
I would guess that's probably the first time in his life David Kerslake's been booked for tackling.
A yellow card for the former QPR defender. There it is. Issued by John Deakin. And Phil Barber's okay again, which is good news for Crystal Palace. Let's see what they can do here then with the free kick. To be taken by Pemberton. The target again will be Bright. Gittins didn't really get it away too cleanly. The whistle's gone for a free kick to Swindon. Well, Laurie McMenemy down there in the studio, what do you think Swindon have to do now to change the course of this game?
Well, they've got to keep believing in that pattern of play. I think you were on mentioned it early on. They were starting to hit long balls, and that was disturbing the whole balance. I mean, this is a team that's been together now for 19 or 20 games. They've got to keep believing that what has got them to third top and what has got them here is the right thing to do. But they've got to push up more from the back and support their players up front, because it's a sudden death competition. And
well, here's Foley, just to interrupt you, the flag's up over on the far side, that won't count.
Yeah, a bit like that, they've been listening to us, but unfortunately it was offside.
He's got an earpiece, he heard that, I think.
Yeah, but they've got to realise that there's not long left in the game, and they've got to get on with it now. As they started the game, as Ron said, the fire's gone out of the second half, and I think it's because Crystal Palace are a little bit worried about coming forward. They don't want to lose what they've got, and it's sort of stalemate at the moment. So the initiative has got to be with Swindon. They've got to get a grip, and they've got to start getting into it. And if they lose 2-0, well, at least their conscience will be clear.
Thanks, Laurie. Now, Mark Bright for Crystal Palace. And they will be feeling a lot easier if they can find a second one. Not that way they won't, though. Just 12 minutes left. 1 goal between the two teams in this Southern Area semi-final of the Zenith Cup. And what's the referee given here? Free kick to Swindon. McLaren. It's Foley. Jones has gone off down the middle. This is McLaughlin. Beavering away now. Shearer holding off Hopkins. McLaren. Variation on the route to goal. Didn't get anywhere though. Now, Bright down the middle is completely unmarked. Oh, if Thomas could have found him then, surely that would have clinched it for Crystal Palace. Gray now. What a timely tackle that was again from Calderwood, who's made 1 or 2 of those in this game. That's Gittins clattering into the boards. Just over 10 minutes to go. A free kick. Rather untidy. Down goes Andy Gray for the umpteenth time tonight. I wonder if he's going to prove the match winner for Crystal Palace. Swindon with just Shearer upfield. Everybody else is back defending this free kick. McLaughlin and Jones there. Go out with it for a corner. Yes. Zalako to take it. Goalkeepers come for it. Didn't look like getting there though, only because there were players in the way. But he, as you were saying, Ron, he's not looked all that confident on crosses at times.
No, plus the fact Palace have got so many big men in the box, there's always the danger of he's having to come and climb over not only his own defenders, but big attacking players as well.
Steve White for Swindon. Shaw has gone with him. Here's Bowden. All given away very carelessly. Zalako on the charge. He's got Gray up and Bright up. Here's Bright. Gray rather. The referee says no foul. I think Andy Gray agreed with that decision. No protest though from Andy Gray. He just gets on with the game. That was into the path of Shearer. And they couldn't finish it off. What disappointment then for Swindon. Having had a scare at the other end, they nearly created an opening for themselves and still might. Just wide from Shearer. He was on the end of the cross again.
Very, very good deep cross from the left-back Bowden, and that is Shearer, as we were talking about in the first half. Didn't appear to out-jump anybody, but just it was his head that made contact. You watch this, he digs out a really good ball there under pressure. Now, he doesn't appear to out-climb anybody, really, but still makes contact, and he'll feel he's unlucky not to have scored.
Just steered it away from the target. A fresh encouragement then for Swindon Town of the 2nd Division. Trailing Crystal Palace of the first by a 1-0. Not too long left now. 8 minutes to go. It's another free kick to Swindon. Might be a chance for McLaren to blast one in. Or Bowden. And Crystal Palace have pulled everybody back. The crowd have some anxious moments, the Palace supporters, to enjoy yet, before Palace clinch their place in the next round, if they're going to. It's McLaren into the wall, and there's no one upfield for Palace, so Andy Gray just whacking it into touch. Calderwood for Swindon. Over the head of Shearer, with Foley arriving late too.
It's funny, Peter, you get the impression watching them, they're only a goal out of the game at the moment, Swindon, and they played very, very well, first half particularly, but you don't get the feeling that they've got the belief they can score.
Well, they still have time, but are they going to do it now? Will Crystal Palace cling on to that slender lead and earn the game against Chelsea? The man who scored the goal on 15 minutes, Andy Gray. The feeling was there would be more goals in this game. Haven't had one yet, but we still might. Mark Bright in for Salako. Here's Bright. Good drive! Didn't close him down too quickly then. And Bright had the opportunity. Salako just slipping it into his path. And that curled agonisingly away past the far post. Salako there. Didn't close him down too well, did they, Ron?
No, but full marks to Bryce. He's played a lovely little ball into Salako and then got and joined his own pass up.
And here's Salako again. Well, just 6 minutes left now in this southern area semi-final of the Zenith Cup. Shaw couldn't wriggle past Bowden. It wastes a few more seconds. Palace will want to keep the ball in the Swindon half. Salako taking the throw. And the flag's up in Swindon Town's favour.
The interesting thing is how much time Andy Gray is spending up front now. Rather than being in the orthodox right-hand side of midfield, he's virtually playing as the front striker. I just wonder whether he's got a knock and they want to keep him on the field. Although he did, of course, start his career there.
Was hobbling a bit earlier on, I noticed. And they pushed Salako wide on the right, Crystal Palace. Gray indeed up front now then with Mark Bright. Kersley. 5 minutes left. Here's Jones. Swindon still persevering. And we know they have the firepower up front from their recent run. The league's top goal scorers, remember, Swindon Town. 53 goals, and how dearly they would love one now in this cup semi-final.
I think it should. We were talking about how well Jones had played in the first half. I think it's also fair to say, Peter, that at this half, it looks as if there's been a definite policy on Crystal Palace's part to every time he gets good possession, just to push him in field.
Calderwood with Bright. McLaughlin going in tigerishly. Jones trying to slot it through. But he didn't find McLaughlin. And Shaw has time to bring it away for Crystal Palace. Didn't do so too well. The pressure stays on Crystal Palace. Jones. Looking for Shearer. Controlled it well. McLaren. He'll be disappointed there. He's had a couple of terrific strikes in this game.
the layoff came back a little bit fiercer, didn't it, from Shearer.
Bit off balance, I think, Ross McLaren on that occasion. And that save that Nigel Martin made from McLaren, taking on more and more significance now. We're into the last few minutes. Gray. Oh, again, if he'd have found Bright, it might have been a second goal for Palace. Gray knows it too. It's a corner then to Crystal Palace. 3 minutes left. Solarco to take the kick. Barber. Well, I suppose at this late stage you can't blame him. Not exactly adventurous though, Ron.
No, but I think the lad got ahead of him going the wrong way.
Calderwood. Still Swindon hoping for a change of fortune in the last 2 minutes of the game. Jones here. They've got 4-5 in the middle. Confident handling once again by Nigel Martin. And Steve Coppell's team are almost in the Southern Area final. A two-legged game against Chelsea, awaiting the winners. It's Shaw who turns it back.
Yes, I must confess I've been a little bit disappointed in Swindon this half. I've seen a lot of them play this season. I think they're an excellent side. And I honestly thought at half-time they'd probably snatch the game.
Well, it's almost too late for them. Not quite, though. White's header didn't find McLaughlin, who was pushing right up front then. Crystal Palace will be at home if they go through in the first leg of that Southern Area final. Wembley, of course, the ultimate prize. Middlesbrough will play them, the winners, that is, in the final. Gittins now then for Swindon. Can they do it? Not that way, they won't. A rather desperate long ball then from Gittins. Crystal Palace have 1 minute left now if they're to survive here. It's looking more and more as if they're going to do so. It's Pemberton taking the throw. Thomas missed his kick then. Could be costly. McLaren beaten. Oceans of space, all offside, right down the middle. And the linesman down below us here, absolutely right, because Mark Bright just straight offside. I don't think Solarco was, Ron, down here. I think it was Bright through the middle.
No, that's right, that was Bright. He was anxious to get in, and full marks to Calderwood. Calderwood stepped up on him very well.
Crystal Palace are almost there. Bowden. They're streaming out Crystal Palace, and they've timed it perfectly. Up goes the flag, and Swindon caught offside yet again. And one or two dejected Swindon players out there now. A few heads beginning to drop. Andy Thorne, who's been a rock at the back. We're now into time added on for stoppages. Unless something extraordinary happens, we're not going to need extra time, because Crystal Palace are going through to the Southern Area final. Just seconds remaining. Kersley. Here's Thomas. Gray outside him. Gittins got his tackle in. And I'm sure it'll be one last long kick upfield now. From Fraser Digby. White. I don't think he'll keep that one in. Relief among the Crystal Palace supporters. John Deacon, the referee, has looked at his watch. Can't be too long to go now. Can't recall too many stoppages in the second half. Bowden. We've played now a minute of injury time. Here's Bowden. Scott Shearer in the middle. Wrestling with Pemberton. Down goes Shearer. Half-hearted appeals for penalty. No question of that. But Swindon have it back again. Thursday through and offside. I've lost count, Ron, of the number of times they've been caught, but it's been too many, I'm sure, for Ossie Ardiles' liking.
Yeah, so I think that's where you get a little bit anxious, where the ball is played through a little bit heavy, and forwards is too anxious to get in there too early.
The referee again looking at his watch. Here's Bowden. Over 2 minutes now of stoppage time. And there is the final whistle. A huge roar from the Crystal Palace supporters. And Palace have done it. Andy Gray's goal. Well, he's limping there now, but he won't be feeling that injury. His goal has taken them through to the Southern Area final. And that will be against Chelsea over 2 legs. Disappointment for Swindon. Nigel Martin with that one spectacular save in the second half from Ross McLaren. And Swindon not really firing on all cylinders in the second half as we thought they might do. That's how it's finished then. We'll be back after a short break.